As soon as I hung up with my editor, I knew I had to learn everything I could about the Voynich Manuscript. I'd heard of it in passing over the years, but I'd never really delved into the details of its history or the countless attempts to decipher it. If I was going to investigate Dr. Hathaway's claims, I needed to become an expert on the manuscript as quickly as possible. I pulled up every reputable source I could find on the manuscript and started reading. The more I learned, the more intrigued I became. The manuscript, it turned out, was a 15th century codex written in an unknown script and filled with bizarre illustrations of unidentifiable plants, astrological diagrams, and naked women. It had been named after Wilfrid Voynich, the Polish book dealer who had acquired it in 1912, but its true origins remained a mystery. As I dug deeper into the manuscript's history, I discovered a long line of brilliant minds who had become obsessed with its secrets. There was William Newbold, a philosopher who claimed to have deciphered the manuscript using a complex system of microscopic shorthand, only to have his theory debunked after his death. There were William and Elizebeth Friedman, the pioneering cryptologists who had tried and failed to crack the code during World War I. Even the National Security Agency had taken a crack at it during the Cold War, using the manuscript as a training exercise for its top codebreakers. I read about Wilfrid Voynich's own attempts to decipher the manuscript and the various theories that had been put forth over the years about its contents and purpose. Some believed it was a treatise on medieval medicine, others a work of alchemy or mysticism. A few even claimed it was a hoax, a clever forgery designed to fool collectors and scholars. But no one had ever been able to prove anything conclusively. The Voynich manuscript remained one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the history of cryptography until now, if Dr. Hathaway was to be believed. As I pored over the images of the manuscript's pages, I found myself drawn in by the strange beauty of its roughly sketched illustrations. The plants and flowers were unlike anything I'd ever seen before, with twisted stems and bulbous flowers that seemed to defy the laws of nature. It was as if they belonged to a different world entirely, a world where the rules of biology and botany held no sway. The cosmological charts, too, were filled with intricate symbols and diagrams that hinted at a deeper, hidden meaning, a cosmic significance that seemed to beckon me closer, daring me to unravel their secrets. But it was the script itself that truly held me spellbound. The flowing alien characters danced across the pages, their curves and lines as graceful and enigmatic as the movements of a serpent. I found myself tracing each symbol with my finger, as if by touch alone I could somehow absorb their meaning, could unlock the secrets that had been lost to time and history. It was a language that spoke to something deep within me, something primal and ancient, a whisper of a long-forgotten truth that seemed to hover just beyond the edge of my understanding. And then, as I turned another page, I found them, the illustrations of naked women, their bodies natural and unadorned. These were not the idealized, sexualized figures I was used to seeing in art and media, but rather depictions of women in all their diverse, imperfect glory. Some of the women, unfazed by shame or stigma, held phallic-shaped objects that pointed to their genitalia. Others were depicted bathing in pools or tubs, their bodies submerged in complex networks of pipes and conduits that seemed to suggest a deeper, more intricate system at work. I was so engrossed in my research that I almost didn't hear my phone ringing. It was Jake, an old friend from college who now worked as a rare book dealer in New York. I'd reached out to him earlier in the day, hoping he might have some insider knowledge on the Voynich manuscript or the people who had studied it over the years.
Amalia, hey. I got your message. What's this about the Voynich manuscript?
I filled him in on the basics of Dr. Hathaway's blog post and my editor's assignment. I'm trying to learn as much as I can about the manuscript's history and the people who have tried to decipher it, I said. I was hoping you might have some insights. Jake was silent for a moment.
The Voynich manuscript is a rabbit hole. I've seen a lot of people go down it over the years, and not many of them come back out again. It has a way of obsessing people, consuming them. I'd be careful if I were you, Amalia.
His words sent a chill down my spine, but I tried to play it off. I'm a journalist, Jake. Chasing rabbit holes is kind of my job. He sighed.
I know. Just be careful, okay? The Voynich Manuscript has a way of attracting some strange characters, and not all of them have the best intentions.
I promised him I would be careful, and we said our goodbyes. But as I hung up the phone, I couldn't shake the sense of unease his words had stirred up in me. I had always prided myself on my ability to separate fact from fiction, to see through the hype and speculation to the truth at the core. But something about the Voynich Manuscript felt different. It was as if the manuscript itself was a living thing, with its own agenda and its own secrets to keep. I pushed aside my doubts and went back to my research, determined to learn everything I could about the manuscript and the woman who claimed to have finally deciphered it. I reached out to every contact I had in the world of rare books and cryptography, hoping someone might have a lead on Dr. Hathaway or her work. But the more I dug, the more elusive she seemed to become. No one in the academic community seemed to have known her well. It was as if she had appeared out of nowhere, dropping this bombshell revelation about the Voynich Manuscript and then vanishing back into obscurity. As the hours ticked by and my emails and phone calls went unanswered, I began to feel a creeping sense of frustration. I was a seasoned investigative journalist, used to chasing down leads and unraveling complex mysteries. But Dr. Hathaway was proving to be a tougher nut to crack than any story I had ever pursued before. I was just about to call it a night when a new email popped up in my inbox. The subject line made my heart skip a beat. Dr. Hathaway and the Voynich Manuscript. Confidential information. I clicked on the email with trembling fingers, hardly daring to breathe. It was from an anonymous sender, but the contents were explosive.
Ms. Rose, I have information about Dr. Emily Hathaway and her work on the Voynich Manuscript that I think you'll find very interesting. I can't say more over email, but if you're willing to meet in person, I can give you the details you need to blow this story wide open. Meet me at the Rare Books room of the New York Public Library tomorrow at 3 p.m. Come alone and tell no one about this email. If you're not there, you'll never hear from me again. The choice is yours.
I stared at the screen, my heart racing. I knew it could be a trap. That meeting with an anonymous source was a risky move for any journalist. But I also knew I couldn't ignore a lead like this. If this person really did have information about Dr. Hathaway and her work on the Voynich Manuscript, I had to follow the trail, no matter where it led. I quickly typed out a reply, agreeing to the meeting and promising to keep it confidential. Then I leaned back in my chair, my mind spinning with possibilities. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But one thing was clear. The mystery of the Voynich Manuscript was only just beginning to unravel, and I was going to be there every step of the way. No matter how deep the rabbit hole went.